Welcome back, our one and only special viewer, to the last and final and also last episode of the podcast. Yay!
What's the podcast name?
It's the Pogcast.
Oh, okay.
Came up with it myself.
Yeah, I know. You
Pretty
switch
good, don't
names
you think?
every week.
I do. Oh wait, I forgot the name of the podcast. It's the Walking and Talking while talking about modern English literature podcast.
That's different from last week, but I'll...
There's more to it, but this is the shortened version. Anyways, we have our last and very special guest, Retro. Say hi. Hello. And then we have me, your host, who needs no name because you know it already. Anyways, the book is done. It is completed. And by Nelly, do we have a lot to talk about today.
All right.
So I'm going to have to go fast.
All right.
So, did I tell you about the cottages yet?
Yeah, they go into a village and they live there for a while.
Okay, where did we leave off with the cottages?
God, man. I know that Tommy was helping the main character look through stuff.
Oh, the sex magazine. I remember that. So that actually has a totally different meaning than I thought it did.
Oh.
And I think the book intended to do that.
Okay.
But, oh God. So, they're at the cottages. Have I told you what possibles are yet?
I feel like you have.
Like the possible parents for the clones?
Yes.
Okay. So, there's this couple. They're older veterans, which means they're like 20. And actually, they're probably like 18. So, it's Rodney and Chrissy. And they come up to Ruth one day, who's Kathy's friend. And they're like, "Yo, Ruth, we went on this trip to Norfolk," which has some significance to them, but I don't want to explain it. They went on this trip to Norfolk, and they think they found Ruth's possible. And she's like, "Dope, let's go." So they go to Norfolk. They go with Chrissy and Rodney, and Tommy and Kathy come as well. Of course, Ruth is there. And it's like Chrissy and Rodney are very suspicious because Kathy thinks they're like manipulating Ruth, which isn't too far off. It's not unfounded whatsoever.
Oh.
But they get to Norfolk, and they're all kind of like avoiding this whole possible thing. And sorry, dear listener, that was a car. So they get to like this diner, and we find out that the real reason Chrissy and Rodney wanted to take them to this town, Norfolk, is not just because of the possible. They actually found one. But also because Chrissy and Rodney aren't from Halisham. They're from another place.
Oh.
That does the same thing, but it's not Halisham.
Okay.
And these kids have heard that there's this rumor that if you're from Halisham, you have this sort of privilege that you can go to like a guardian or madame, the old creepy lady who takes their artwork. You could go to her and ask for this referral. And if you did that, and you could prove that you were in love with someone, then they would push back your donations a couple years, so you could be in love.
Huh.
So Chrissy and Rodney want to do that.
All right.
So they're like asking. And and Kathy and Tommy, they have like no idea. Like Kathy's like, "I've never heard of this before."
Yeah.
But she's a good friend. And she's just like staying silent because Ruth this whole time has been like very buddy with the veterans. So she's like trying to play it up like, "Oh yeah, I heard that rumor. I'm not sure about it though." And kind of like winking at them.
Yeah.
Chrissy and Rodney, not Kathy and Tommy. And Tommy's like, "I've never heard that before." And Ruth is like, "Oh, Tommy, you're just being a moron." And then Kathy looks at him and he's like, "I've never heard of that before." Like he's doing it on purpose. Because Kathy's being
obnoxious.
Yes. I mean Ruth, sorry.
Oh.
So they get back from Norfolk. It was much longer than that, but they get back from Norfolk they find the possible. She works at this art place. It's super nice, but then they're like, that can't be Ruth's possible. It's not right. They also find Kathy's missing cassette from when she was at Hallisham.
Oh, nice.
Tommy was like, I was trying to find this for you. Do you want to come look at it? Look with it for me? She was like, yeah, sure. And they find the cassette, and it's really nice and sweet. And they don't tell anyone about it because Ruth was being
obnoxious.
Yeah. And they get back from the cottages, and things are very tense. Ruth and Tommy's relationship isn't the best anymore.
Cool.
It never really was. Ruth has kind of always been not good. But it's very not good now. They're just like not talking to each other.
I see.
And I'll skip the little animals. Tommy draws little animals for some reason. Because when they were at Hallisham, they had to make art projects, and his always sucked, and the teachers didn't like them. So he had to make, so he just stopped making them. And now he's like, hey, I found out that I like to draw, and I just make things smaller, and then it's fun, and I like it. And it's just kind of a sweet moment. But he doesn't tell Ruth yet. So, oh God, let me think. Oh yeah, their relationship, like everyone's kind of not liking each other. The veterans have kind of left. New people come in. There's no more kids from Hallisham. Kathy's a little suspicious. And eventually, their relationships break down enough that Kathy, sorry dear listener, more trucks are going by. Their relationship deteriorates enough that eventually Kathy files to be a carer early, and she leaves. So she goes to be a carer in the hospitals, which is like, after these clone people donate their organs, vital organs might I add, they have to be cared for so they don't, die. So they're being cared for. And Kathy and Tommy, they both just had one organ done. They've like totally split up by now. They hate each other. So, oh yeah, I think Kathy and Ruth had a fight before they left.
Oh, nice.
So then Kathy meets one of her friends from Hallisham, Laura, and Laura's like, "Hey, I heard Ruth was Ruth just got a donation. You should go and be her carer." And Kathy's like, "No, we left off on bad terms." And Laura's like, "Oh, but you should." Kathy's like, "Oh, fine, I'll do it." So they go. She does a carer for Ruth. They get on better terms because they're kind of guarded, and then they have a big talk it out / cry it out session, and they're like, "Oh, everything's better now." So Ruth hears about this boat, sailboat I think, that like washed up in this marsh, and she's like, let's drive and go see it. And Ruth and Kathy's like, "Oh, fine, I guess." So they go and pick up Tommy too.
Cool.
And they pick up Tommy, and they all go to the marsh, and things are kind of tense between them. And they go to the boat, and they again sort of talk things out, but it doesn't go quite as well this time. Things aren't resolved. People are just kind of angry at each other again. So then they get back from the marsh, and then Ruth does her second donation and dies, which you're not supposed to do that until 4. I wasn't expecting it.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry. Shut up. I never cry. So anyways, Ruth is dead. They had a meaningful eye contact before she died, so that meant something.
Nice.
So then like a year after this, she left to do other donations. So a year after this, Tommy is doing a third donation, and she goes to care for him again. So logically, the next step in their new-founded relationship is they start having sex with each other.
Did they?
Oh yeah, like a couple times.
Great.
Because that's all this book cares about apparently, is children having sex.
Great.
Luckily, it's never described it, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, no, this isn't 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. I'm not reading 50 Shades of Grey.
Never read 50 Shades of Grey.
It's a bad story.
Yeah, no, it is.
So anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, sex. Their relationship gets really sweet, and they're like, Tony's drawing all these he's drawing all his little animals again, and it's all nice, and he's like showing them to Kath, and they're just having a generally good time. And then I can't remember what happens, but then they don't like each other for some reason. Their relationship becomes a bit strained again. I think it's because they go to Madame's house. Ruth found the address and gave it to Kathy before she bit the dust. And they go to Madame's house, and they're like, "Yo, how's it going?" And Tommy is like, which Kathy was expecting. Tommy's like, "Hey, can we get that referral to push back the donation?" Because they think he's going to get his 4th donation notice in like a week. So they're like, "Hey, can we do that?" And Miss Emily, their head guardian, is there. And she's like, "That never existed. It's not a thing." And finally, this is like the last chapter of the book, we finally get to figure out the whole deal with the clones this whole time.
Okay, good.
So basically, back in the 70s, the rockin' 70s,
Of course it was this.
the government was like, we're cloning some kids so we can do organ stuff. And we can get organs for free and no money. Less people die, but more money. So they do the organ stuff, and people are kind of getting mad about the program because they're like, "These are children. Why are you killing them?"
Rightfully so.
So they created Halisham. Halisham's closed, by the way.
Oh.
They created Halisham to prove that the clones that they made had souls in them, and that they were being raised ethically. And the artwork, which Tommy was partially right about this, the artwork that they made wasn't used to prove they were in love. It was to prove that they were raised ethically.
You mentioned that earlier. That was the theory.
I know, I was right. So the clones were raised ethically, but Halisham lost all its sponsorship. It got closed down by the government. So no more crazy Miss Lucy, who we all love. She's near and dear to our hearts.
See.
One sec, this is my brother. We've passed my brother. So, after this, Tommy's down in the dumps. He's got his 4th donation. He asks for another carer, because he's like, Ruth wouldn't have liked this, and she's sad about that. Tommy dies. She goes back to Norfolk because she's sad. And she looks over this field that they stopped in when their car broke down. And she sees Tommy and Ruth at the end of the field. And then breaks down into a puddle of tears and drives away.
Man.
And the book is over. The book is over. It has a much neater ending than Unwind, which I've been comparing it to this entire time. So anyways, dear listener, it has been a wonderful
Journey.
6 episodes of this podcast. If we do more Lit Circles, I will do this again. We will see special guest retro, and depending on when that is, there may be snow on the ground.
Hopefully.
Sayonara!